write your name at the top of his list. And the Statue of Liberty started shaking her fist. And the eagle will fly, and it's gonna be here. I brought to you courtesy of the red, white, and blue.
It's time for Veterans Issues, the show that brings you information about veterans, military, and their family. Now here's your host, Ken Robbins.
Welcome to Veterans Issues. We are brought to you by the Red, White, and Blue. Today's guest is a return after he went back to Normandy. He's a World War II veteran, and he landed at D-Day at Omaha Beach. His name is Hillman Prestridge. Stay right there. You're going to enjoy this. Be right back. Thanks for tuning in to Veterans Issues. And we've got a guest on here today that was on a few weeks ago. But when he was on here before, he was going to go back to Normandy for the June the 6th D-Day festivities over there. But he went on his own in May. So he's here. We've got pictures, and he's going to talk about his visit back over there. His name is Hillman Prestridge, and he's a World War II veteran of the greatest generation. Welcome back, Hillman.
Mm-hmm.
Got that cane with you today?
I carry that with me everywhere I go.
Yeah. I saw in some of the pictures that you took to Normandy, you took that other cane with a red, white, and blue flag on it, like mine. That's mighty fine. The eagle looks good everywhere. But let's go back and tell people who you are. You're from Clay County. And I'll just jump ahead because I remember some of this. If I'm wrong, you stop me. You're from Clay County. You was drafted. You didn't go seeking the Army. They come find you.
Right.
And you went in. I think you're 19 years old. 18 or 19.
I was 18 when I was drafted. I was 19 when I got on French soil.
There you go. When you went to visit that lovely country of France. But let's go back. You went to Fort Bragg, North Carolina. And you trained in artillery.
Right.
And then you went off to train to be an amphibious
amphibious
force.
And
kind of a secret. Nobody's supposed to know about it.
Well,
we can tell them now.
They kept us hid for a long time, and then we, when they got ready for us to show ourselves, they carried us over to France and put us out.
But you went over on the Queen Elizabeth, right?
I went over to Glasgow, Scotland, and Queen Elizabeth, and from Glasgow, Scotland to Birmingham, England.
When I tell people you went on to Queen Elizabeth, they think about that cruise liner you go to Caribbean cruises and stuff like that.
Well, it was about 10,000 soldiers on it.
Yeah, I went over on one with 5,000. It was a merchant marine ship, and not a very pleasant voyage. You get to see a lot of water and a lot of metal on your deck, you know. Big deal was when a whale was spotted. Somebody spot a whale, and the whole ship would lean. Everybody run over and look at that.
Well, we run into submarine and never had to slow up to take care of it. So
German submarine?
A German submarine. And so after 2 death charges, the oil started bubbling up, and we was on the way.
Uh-oh. I don't know what that means. That's a migraine headache if ever was. And let's see. Now, when you landed, somehow, how did you get to, we were in England, how did you get to France, the D-Day landing? How did you go from England there?
From Glasgow, Scotland, to England, I meant to France. We went over on LST 75, and we got off the LST 75 onto the Higgins landing craft and went in from there.
LST is a flat bottom. How far did you go on the LST? Several hundred miles? Or?
Just across the English Channel.
Okay. And then that Higgins, is that a little plywood boat?
That's a plywood boat.
Wow.
With a metal let down.
Yeah. The ramp that became it was a door until it was a ramp. And now that was something we all have, that anybody's ever looked at the landing of D-Day, we have that picture of the Higgins coming in and dropping that door, and soldiers scattering every which way and running right into machine gun fire.
Yeah.
That's got to be an awesome, scary. You didn't go down the ramp though, did you?
No, I found my way over the side of it the way I wasn't supposed to go.
Yeah. What made you do that?
Well, some of them was going in ahead of me.
Yeah.
And some way or another, I was told to go over instead of go down.
Well, some of those landing craft, they stopped out in the water a good distance, and some of the soldiers stepped off into high seas and drowned. You remember that?
The one that carried us into soil. After the fighting started, well, some of the sailors got scared. We weren't scared, you know that.
Yeah, right. You're still scared today.
But they carried them in so far and put them out, too far out.
Yeah.
And they didn't make it, which they could have made it probably if it had been calm water. But even the government agrees that it was 12-foot waves.
Sure was. And that weather that they had that day affected the paratroopers and the people in the landing.
It affected everybody. The bombers didn't do their job where we was at.
They couldn't see.
They couldn't see us. And one thing that I can say though, where the Rangers landed, went up the wall, they did their job.
Yeah.
They have what Germans they didn't kill, had them battered so till they didn't know what they was doing.
Yeah, that was great. Well, what they were doing, they were dropping bombs through the cloud cover and hoping that it hit where they thought it was going to land.
And they hit where they needed to be.
Yeah. Well, that was, now before I get too far ahead of you, you landed in the first wave, and because you kind of caught the Germans off guard, you and your guys able to run further toward the cliff because they were looking further out in there for you.
We was able to get in further.
Right.
Yeah,
and they couldn't take that machine gun and go down like that where you were. They had to fire out across the beach. They were set for the beach.
Yeah.
But you was inside under the cliff too far. You didn't play right. You were supposed to stay out there on the beach, let them shoot you.
Well, we hid quick as we could.
Well,
find something to hide with.
When you're 19 years old from Clay County and hadn't been too many places, you got a little bit of rabbit in your feet, I bet you.
Oh, yeah. That's
This last minute before we go back to take a break, I want to, the thing that we see, the image of D-Day is the bodies laying on the beach. Movies have been made about it. The thousands and thousands that were killed in the first few minutes. And you told me one time that, like we did in like stories you see about Vietnam, there was remains laying there, and that became, you get behind them for shelter from the rifle rounds. And that may sound morbid to folks, but that's survival. That's what you have to do. And we're gonna take a break, and we're gonna come back. We're gonna talk about the Bedford boys. I'm gonna talk about going into St. Lo and places like that. So we're gonna go to a break. Come back. We're gonna talk more with Hillman. Be right back. Welcome back to Veterans Issue. The audience here is acting up a little bit, so I'm having to shine my pen on it to quieten them down. We're talking with Hillman Prestridge, a World War II veteran, and he landed at Omaha Beach in 1944, was it?
June the 6th.
June the 6th, 1944. And when you landed, y'all were going in, you had a mission. You was going to go into St. Lo, but there's a group of people that and the folks that's watching, I hope they'll Google the Bedford Boys and see if the last time you was on here, I got my numbers all messed up. But say it was like 3,000 from the village in Virginia, right? Bedford,
Right.
Virginia.
Mm-hmm.
And there was 80 of them went. 60 of them went that day, the first wave, and only 19 survived.
60 of them went in, made the invasion.
Mm-hmm.
And, so,
And 19 of them survived that
right.
invasion. That's from a small town. You know, that wouldn't be so bad with a huge city, but for a small town of 3,000.
They lost more than any other town during World War II.
Yeah. Well, you went back over this past May, last month,
May the 1st.
May the 1st. You went back to Normandy and visited, and they treated you like royalty. Let's get the controller and bring up some pictures. We got a whole album of pictures here, but we're gonna look at these. Let's look up here and tell me that's the beach. Is that Omaha Beach?
That's Omaha Beach.
It didn't look like that when you landed, did it?
It well, it was the hill was higher and the beach was cluttered with anything that could get on it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember them old iron X's that they had that was in there with wire in them and stuff.
Yeah.
All right, the next one is, now this is where the Rangers went up the cliff, and that wire, I believe you told me that's been there 70 years.
That's been there 70 years.
Not only did they have to scale that cliff, but they had to get through the wire when they got to the top of it. And that was what Rangers? That just the Rangers? We don't.
Just the Rangers, Army Rangers.
Okay, so they went up over there, and this is you back in May, and this is up in Bedford.
No, it's
or is that,
it's there at Omaha Beach.
Okay.
And they have built a road and named it after down to the beach and named it after the Bedford Boys.
Okay, that's where I saw the Bedford on there. So this is in honor of the Bedford boys from Virginia that lost their lives there. See, Virginia, they got Virginia spelled NIE, USA. Isn't that something? Now, what's the next photo? And this is a reporter talking to you back in May. And is this a bunker that you're in with a machine gun?
That's a pillbox.
Yeah.
And it was a machine gun and also a big gun in there.
Yeah.
It was the first one up above us on the beach.
So when the Rangers were coming up over the thing, they had to face them too.
Right.
Did y'all your outfit ever see any of those? Have to face them?
That was up above us.
Okay.
Right up above us.
All right. So there's a bunker. Another shot of it. I thought we was out, but that's another shot of the bunker. Now let's talk about this. This is a rumbles of a church, of a cathedral. Go over to the other picture. It shows there it is as it is, but the other picture was what happened to it after you caught a sniper up in the top of it firing down at you.
After the troops went by the church, a sniper fired on the troops, and they cut it to the ground. And it's been rebuilt just like it was then.
So they brought it to the ground because the sniper's up in the top of it. And well, that was after you got up on the top of the cliff. I'm talking about with that. You went into St. Louis. Was that the first town you went to?
Well, that's the first town that we met opposition, and we had to take it 3 times before the Germans would give it to us. So when we got through the 3rd time, my captain said, "Get out of here."
All right, let me. When you said we faced opposition, was you talking about tanks, machine guns, or what, or a combination? What was your opposition that you faced?
All of it. Germans, they didn't want to give up St. Louis, and after the 3rd time, St. Louis was nothing but rubbish. So they didn't want it then.
That was the people don't realize what war is like. But y'all had what did you have? You had just a rifle is all you had, or did you have grenades or
M1 Grand. And grenades.
You did have grenades?
Yeah.
Did, this is something I didn't ask you before. Well, I did ask you this. You didn't know, you weren't close friends to a lot of these people because you just been shipped into that unit. So you wasn't like you've been bonding together as friends for a long time.
No.
So you don't know how many of them made it or not.
Well, I know 2 made it. 2 besides me. I know they made it. Now, how long after they got on the beach, I don't know.
And see, you was 19 when all this happened, 19
Right.
years old. And thinking about it now, we talked out in the green room it was your memory of it, but you hadn't been too many places out of Clay County, I bet you.
No, not many.
Not anything like France.
I'd been up to Anniston a few times.
I'd go into the big city, yeah. I know a lot of the stories like that. Like my dad was in the Navy, and you grow up in St. Clair County, and then the next thing you know, you're off in the Pacific Ocean somewhere, and it's a whole different world. It was for me too when I was on a ship and sailing across for 28 days, crossing the Pacific, and scared to death.
Yeah.
And somebody asked you out here in the hallway there, was you scared? He asked you, no, he asked you, he said, on a scale of 1 to 10, how scared were you? Your answer was? You remember?
Above that.
Above a 10.
10.
That would have been me. There was war's not fun. To make it out to be on television that it's a great deal and like a game or something like that, but it's not.
And one thing that I want to bring up, the French people, the young and the old, when they found out that I was over there and thought that I helped liberate them, they couldn't say enough.
I saw some of the pictures. I wish I could show all of them, even the young lady behind the counter at the hotel. But one of the interesting things you told me is that on the plane, what kind of airline was you on? With a French?
No, it was Delta.
Delta. And the pilot. Tell me about the pilot.
Well, the stewardess came back when we got on it. The stewardess came back, Mr. Prestridge. The captain wants to talk to you. I thought, what have I done now? And she said, if you don't mind. And of course, I didn't mind, and he came back. We had 10 minutes, so we were supposed to be in the air. And he said, I'll see you after a while. 10 hours later, after we landed in the States, well, I was coming out the last one on the plane, and the stewardess came back and met me. And I told her, talking to her, and I told her to tell the captain, thanks a lot. And the co-captain came out and said, you need a wheelchair.
Cut me off. Okay, but anyhow, they brought him up. I got pictures of him up there with the captain. We're going to come back and continue the story here with you today. Thank you for sharing that with us. And sorry they've run out of time. We got to go to a break. Come back. Use as you can use. Stay where you are. Thought you was going to caught me drinking that water, didn't you? But you didn't. Welcome back. This is News You Can Use. And I want to tell you every week I tell you about if you have an automobile that's serviceable, one that will run. It don't have to be fancy, but it's a running vehicle that you can't sell or whatever, can't get what you want for it. We have a way that you can donate that and receive a tax exemption for the cost of the vehicle, the worth of the vehicle. So if it's a $2,500 vehicle, we can get a $2,500 write-off on your taxes. And so you got my contact information, 256-831-2838. Give me a call, because we got a grandmother that needs to be able to go see her grandkids and get to the doctor. So I need you to help us out on that if you can, if you got a vehicle like that. And I want to thank to everybody that's been buying that law enforcement tag, because that tag is helping, the receipt from that is helping us build the memorial up in Anniston. So anyone can get one. When you go get your tag renewed, just ask for the law enforcement tag. It fits, it goes with every color vehicle out there, and it helps support the law enforcement memorial in Washington, D.C., and helps us build the one here in Anniston. So remember that. And I want to thank WWII TV 24 that we do this show on, and there's not but one in the state of Alabama we're aware of that does this, allows us to get the message out there to the veterans, and that's through this show. And on the Veterans Moments, where we talk about the bills that's been passed in Montgomery, those are sponsored by K.L. Brown, Steve Hurst, and Randy Wood, and we thank them for doing that, because otherwise the bills they pass would not be available to you to know what's available out there. And by the way, you can get that driver's license with the word veteran on it, and that shows that you're a veteran, gets you discounts in a lot of places. And by the way, Oxford Tire down here on 78, they give 10% on if you're a veteran. And if you'd like to help out the Chehaw Regional Humane Shelter, the number is 256-241-3647. That's a great organization. Jane Cunningham and all that group are taking care of our little four-legged critters. And let's see what else we got here I got to talk to you about. I was going to talk about, HMR is still hiring. People call me and we ask, is HMR still hiring down at the new Veterans Home? Yes, they are, and the website is on here every week, hmrveteranservices.com. And let's see what else I got. I don't know how much time I got, I'll tell you. And let's see, I got the foundation that we received the funds to build these memorials, and even the tag is run through there. That is the Community Foundation, P.O. Box 1826, Anniston, 36202, and put Centennial Memorial on the check, and that's tax deductible also. So that's a 501c3, and you get that off of your taxes. If you have unserviceable flags, we just went through a ceremony, and I want to remind you that we do this every year. That we retire the flags honorably by burning them, and we just did that. The Young Marines just did it for us, and we collect them down there on 15th and 15th and Quintard. It's the old 911 building right behind Rite Aid. There's a container there that looks like a flag itself. Just drop your old unserviceable flag in there, and we pick them up periodically, and we retire them on Flag Day every year. And so that's the proper way to dispose of an American flag if it's unserviceable. And this week's salute goes out to our guests we had today, Hillman, Prestridge, and all of the greatest generation. And I appreciate their service, and we all do. And for that, we give this week's salute. And we'll see you next week right here on Veterans Issues. Salute.